Good morning and welcome to the Tuesday, January 9th meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. We do begin each of our meetings with an invocation, and today we have Betty Vetty here with Charis Bible College to lead us in the invocation. If you would like to join, please do so. Sorry about that. I think our communication staff is coming down to help. You can face us.
Oh, there we
There you
go.
go.
Thank you, sweetie. I didn't know to
You're
push that
welcome.
button.
Not a problem.
Let us pray. Father, I thank you for this opportunity to watch our Board of Commissioners in action. Father, we pray for them. We bless them. We ask for your wisdom, Lord, as they make big decisions in this beginning year for leadership, for financial budget. I know they have many responsibilities, and I ask that you guide and bless the work of their hands. Father, I also ask for vision as this county is growing, that you would show them, Lord, plans for our future to bless the people of this county, that we would live in peace and godliness for your glory, in Jesus' name. Thank you.
Man, thank you. And we also have Elias Stabino to lead us in the pledge. Please join us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. And again, both of those, as I understand it, are students at Charis Bible College, and I believe they have some of their classmates and colleagues with them today as well. Welcome. This is Government in Action right here at your local level. We're glad to have you today. Item number 3.
Item number 3 is staff emergency items, and I'm unaware of any staff emergency items today.
Item number 4.
Item number 4 is changes, postponements, and notice of the next meeting. I'm aware of 2 changes to the agenda. Item number 5 will be considered, the chair and vice chair will be considered separately from the legislative and parliamentary rules and procedures. And item number 10R, the applicant has requested to change the hearing date to January 23rd, 2024, and this will need to be included in the motion at the board's discretion. Our next meeting will be January 11th, 2024 at 9:00 a.m. for land use.
Excellent. Thank you. Item number 5.
Item number 5 is the resolution to appoint the chair and vice chair and to amend the legislative and parliamentary rules and procedures. Kenneth Hodges, county attorney, and as stated before, the chair and vice chair will be considered separately.
Excellent. Thank you. And as mentioned, we do, in my mind, we're separating this into 5A and 5B. And so we will begin then with a resolution to appoint the chair and vice chair. Mr. Hodges, would you like to explain the process for us?
Good morning. Thank you, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, Commissioners. Kenny Hodges, County Attorney. As the clerk to the board had mentioned, item number 5, let me back up. The second Tuesday of every January, the board considers its organizational resolutions. Item number 5 is the first of those. Historically, we have had our chair and vice chair designation built into our parliamentary rules. There have been times that the board has considered those together and separately. Today, the board is considering chair and vice chair designations separately from proposed changes to the parliamentary rules.
Excellent. Thank you. So with that, is there, I will open it up to my colleagues. Is there any discussion on appointing a chair and vice chair? Commissioner Gonzalez.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. It's been a privilege and honor for the last 7 years to be working as a county commissioner. I just want to put out, I'm willing to offer myself up as a chair for 2024 as I believe appropriate, and I believe, makes a lot of sense for 2024. Thank you.
Thank you for that willingness. Commissioner Gonzalez, Commissioner Williams.
I move we approve Commissioner Cami Bremer as chair and Commissioner Carrie Geithner as vice chair.
There is a motion. Is there a second to that motion? Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. And I just want to start off by saying I deeply appreciate all my colleagues up here, the great work we've done together. And it's always a tough choice to make the right decisions and to make sure that we have the right leadership and make sure we continue with the right programs and fight the battles we have on behalf of the citizens of El Paso County. So I would like to second Commissioner Williams's motion for Cami Bremer as chair and Carrie Geithner as vice chair. But I would like all my colleagues to know that I deeply, deeply appreciate all the work that every one of us does, every one of us. And I consider everybody up here on the podium a friend of mine, a colleague of mine, a professional associate, and really also, even in addition to that, fellow friends of a faith. And these are very important things to me, and I know it's important to all of my colleagues. So that is my motion. Thank you.
Very well said, Commissioner. I wanted to thank my colleagues for the confidence, for the ability to have served this county and the citizens and my fellow board members and all 2,880 employees of the county very well in the last year. I am honored and humbled by your willingness to nominate me to do so again. Is there any further discussion? Commissioner Geithner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I too just want to say thank you to all of my colleagues. Thank you for both the motion and second. It truly has been a great last year. I want to thank the chair. There's a lot of different ways that leadership can function, and I'm really grateful that the chair has allowed the vice chair role to weigh in and speak into many things, and she's always willing to, have a broader discussion so that all viewpoints, and I try to bring additional viewpoints to those discussions as well. So thank you to the chair for the last year. Look forward to another year that is very similar, and thank you to my colleagues for your continued support and really just getting to move this body forward, but making sure that all the voices are heard and that we have robust and fantastic discussions on the decisions that we're weighing in on.
Well said. Any further discussion? Okay, there has been a motion and a second. I will call the roll. Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Nay.
Commissioner Geithner.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That passes 4-1 with Commissioner Gonzalez voting no. Item 5B, so to speak.
Thank you, Madam Chair. What we're referring to as item 5B is our adoption of the board's parliamentary rules for 2024. You will notice a couple of red line changes in your backup materials. There are some on pages 9 and 12 that are intended to streamline and clarify language. The substantive changes on page 18, section 12. It would help if I could first explain our current practice. If we have less than a complete board, we have 1 to 2 commissioners absent for a hearing on a matter, and less than 3 or a majority of the full board votes in favor of a motion, what the current process would involve is the hearing being automatically continued with the motion pending. Absent commissioner or commissioners would then review the record, come in and vote on the matter. What that process entails, though, is the absent commissioners being limited on eliciting additional evidence for that hearing, because the other commissioners had already casted their votes on the motion, and that would be pending at the time. So the proposed changes, what would happen is that the matter would still be automatically continued, but the motion would be deemed failed. So the absent commissioners would still review the record, come in, be able to elicit additional evidence from the parties, and then propose a new motion. Either one of the commissioners that was there previously or the ones that were absent could propose a new motion that would allow you to consider that additional evidence. Aside from that, I believe that that sums up the changes to the parliamentary rules.
Is there any discussion or are there any questions on this item? Okay. Mr. County Attorney, can you tell us exactly what you need the motion to include, since it's a single resolution that includes both leadership and adopting these procedures?
Thank you, ma'am. Since the board's already voted on chair and vice chair, a motion would be appropriate at this point to propose approval of the parliamentary rules as amended.
I move to approve the parliamentary rules as amended.
And I'll second.
Any further discussion? Commissioner Geithner.
I just want to make a quick comment and thank Kenny for the work on that one particular change, though it's a small change and it doesn't happen that often. I think that we all want to make sure that in those land use hearings, we have the opportunity to ask questions and we aren't at a decision where, or at a place where we have more questions to be asked before a decision and are not able to ask those. So thank you for your work on that.
Okay. With hearing no further discussion, that has been moved and seconded. I will call the roll. Commissioner Williams. Commissioner
Aye.
Williams. Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Yes, just a moment. I actually had raised my hand for comments. I'll just vote as soon as my comments are complete. I just wanted to also thank the staff, but actually thank the staff for over the years for having these parliamentary rules and procedures. They are a key part of why this board functions efficiently. And I would encourage anybody in the audience or anybody listening to this board meeting to maybe actually pull out a copy of these parliamentary rules and use them maybe as a template if you're trying to figure out good rules for a board that maybe you're a part of. And then if there's any differences between your rules and these rules, that might be a consideration for you to consider maybe trying to amend your rules and adopt them. But I would just encourage you to take a look at it. It is part of how county government functions. It's just a great civics read, in my humble opinion. And I just encourage people to do that because I think they're effective and they have helped us get our work done here in this board meeting over the years. So thank you very much, and I vote aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Aye.
Commissioner Geithner.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That passes 5-0. Item number 6.
Item number 6 is the resolution to establish the organizational structure of the county's governmental offices. Brett Waters, County Administrator, and Kenny Hodges, County Attorney.
Commissioners, this item is largely self-explanatory. It's the county's administrative organizational structure, largely unchanged from the previous iteration, and that's all contained in your backup as well.
Mr. Waters, do you have anything to add?
Nothing to add, very, very similar to last year.
Excellent. Any discussion from my colleagues up here?
Move to approve item 6.
I will second that.
That has been moved and seconded. I will call the roll. Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Aye.
Commissioner Geithner.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That passes 5-0. I would just like to commend all of our managers and our county administrator, Brett Waters, who do an excellent job of making sure that that structure is correct and correct for serving our citizens. Great job and thank you. Item number 7.
Item number 7 is a resolution to adopt the 2024 County Commissioner Liaison Responsibilities. Brett Waters, County Administrator, and Kenny Hodges, County Attorney.
And Commissioners, this one's also largely self-explanatory. The proposed resolution would set commissioner liaison responsibilities across multiple boards and commissions throughout the community and ensure that the county is properly represented. Again, in your backup material would be the actual designations.
Hey, is there any discussion?
I would move approval of this resolution, just wanting to thank the various commissioners here who've accepted on responsibilities. They do take time. There were some that perhaps were not as well liked as others, some of these responsibilities. So I really appreciate our willingness to sit down and bargain over the table on these. And some individuals wanted some, and I think that we do a really good job as a county commission representing our community out on some of these committees. So thank you for our efforts in resolving all of these. So I will move to approve this.
Well said, Commissioner Williams. And I also wanted to take that opportunity to thank our governmental affairs person, Ryan Parcell, for stewarding that process of making sure that we're all plugged in the right places and staying involved in the places that the county needs to have a presence. With that, is there any further discussion?
Yes,
Commissioner Vanderwerf?
thank you, Madam Chair. Unless Commissioner Geithner would like to make the motion, I'd be willing to do so. But my actual comments right now is I just want to, again, thank my fellow colleagues for all the duties that they carry in these liaison and board and committee duties. And for the benefit of those in the audience and those listening, everybody has at least 10 of those responsibilities. And I also want to thank Commissioner Gonzalez specifically for the record out of all of the commissioners at 15. Thank you, Commissioner, for taking on several of those. But these are a key part of how we interact with the community as commissioners by sitting on these boards and commissions. It's not the only way, but it's one of those ways. And it does represent actually a major component of the amount of time that we put into our duties here as county commissioners. So I would just encourage anybody that has an interest to take a look at that list and see a little bit about what the kind of the second tier, if you will, instead of this main board meeting here, what the second tier of things that we do, which is represented by this list. With that in mind, unless Commissioner Geithner, you're okay? I'll second the motion.
Okay, Commissioner Geithner, did you have any further comments?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just was going to say something similar to what Commissioner Vanderwerf said, just for the benefit of the public and explaining how many hours go into these boards outside of this particular, official board meeting that folks often see. But he did a very good job of describing that. So thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, that has been moved and seconded. Commissioner Williams?
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderwerf?
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
Aye.
Commissioner Geithner?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That passes 5-0. Item number 8.
Item number 8 is the resolution finding sufficiency of crime insurance policy coverage for elected and county officials. Kenneth Hodges, County Attorney.
Commissioners, this resolution, again, relatively self-explanatory. By statute, county elected officials have to post a bond, and annually the Board of County Commissioners is required to review that bond for adequacy. The same statute set allows for a crime insurance policy to be put in place instead of a bond, and that's what you have before you for your consideration today. And the resolution would provide a finding that the crime insurance policies meet or exceed the statutory requirements for bond posting.
Is there any discussion?
I move approval of resolution finding sufficiency of crime insurance policy coverage.
Second?
That has been moved and seconded. Any further discussion or questions? Commissioner Williams?
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderwerf?
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
Aye.
Commissioner Geithner?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Item number 8 passes 5-0. Item number 9.
Item number 9 is the resolution to reaffirm the posting location for public meetings of the Board of County Commissioners and the County Clerk and Recorder as the custodian of the minutes. Jackie Allred, Clerk to the Board, and Kenneth Hodges, County Attorney.
Thank you. And Commissioners, this is our final of our organizational resolutions on for today. This would reaffirm the public meeting posting location as the county website as it's been in previous years.
Are there any discussions or questions?
I would move approval of this item and thank our wonderful clerks to the board, Jackie Allred and Bridget Rowe, for their hard work and effort in all of these. They do a fantastic job keeping us in line.
Second?
That has been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Okay. Commissioner Williams,
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderwerf,
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Aye.
Commissioner Geithner.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, and that passes 5-0. And yes, Jackie and Bridget both, who's not here today, thank you very much for ensuring that the public sees us transparently and that everything's posted correctly. Item number 10.
Item number 10 is the consent calendar inclusive of items 10A through 10X8 and including a request to change the hearing date in item number 10R to January 23rd, 2024, which would need to be included in the board's motion at your discretion.
Thank you. And to clarify that, that is not removing item number R today. It is simply changing the date that is printed there.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion here for any item on the consent calendar? Any
Yes,
discussion or
thank you,
questions?
Madam Chair. Was it item R that had a change date, and what was the new date? I didn't catch it.
Yes.
January 23rd. Thank you very much.
Is there anyone in the public wishing to speak on any item on the consent calendar? Hearing none in the room and none online. Okay. Any further discussion and a motion?
I move approval of the consent calendar with the change of item 10R to a hearing date of January 23rd, 2024.
Madam Chair, might I ask if we would amend that motion to approve the consent calendar items and also in regard to item 10X8, delegate the authority of the contracts and procurement manager to sign the renewals as listed in the attached spreadsheets on behalf of the board.
I will definitely accept that amendment.
Okay.
And then I would
been
second that motion.
And seconded. Excellent. Any further discussion on any items on the consent calendar? Okay.
Yep. Yeah, just a little bit further discussion. I'll just kind of continue a theme here a little bit since we do have several people in the audience, but I would encourage people here in the audience and anybody online to actually go through this. While these items are consent calendar items, which means they generally are in a place to that we don't discuss them because they're usually it means they're not controversial. Just for any citizen that comes to our board meetings, you always have an opportunity to comment and speak on any of these items throughout the year. And I just think it's important to note some of the key things that are in here. For example, issuance of ambulance permits, appointments to different boards and commissions, releases of some bonds dollars. With regard to procurements and contracts, there's, I think, about $2 million worth of contracts that are in here. So there's a lot of very interesting content in the consent calendar, and I would just encourage all citizens throughout the course of the year to look at the agenda and look at those consent calendar items, and if there's something there that you want to make comments to, you can come to the board meeting or you can dial in, and you can make those comments in our board meeting prior to our vote. And that's all that I have to say.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right, I think we have a rather lengthy motion and a second. I'm just going to confirm before I call the roll that is legally what we needed for the record on all fronts. Okay.
And Madam Chair, I'll just mention there was a person in the audience with their hand raised. I know you may have closed the public hearing, but it'll be at your discretion, just to let you know.
I am sorry I did not see you. If you would like to come and speak on any item on the consent calendar, please do. Please introduce yourself.
Sorry, I'm new to this, so I was listening, and I heard you ask if there was any questions, but I was a little slow in raising my hand. As I was breezing through this, I would say 8X is the one that you brought up. Approval of contracts, renewals, purchases, corporative contracts over 150,000. So I guess just in general, we're talking about just all of the budget items that you have, right? So my question to you is, as you're about to vote on this, and you said that there's opportunity to talk to commissioners. So as you approve this, does that mean that all of the individual items, contracts, that's going to be approved then for the year? Is that what I'm understanding is happening?
I'm going to ask our county administrator to clarify, but we have in our policies and procedures internally that there is a threshold at which everything individually comes to us. And I believe that I also see our budget manager coming down to perhaps answer that. But this is going to allow those that fall within a range, again, a very reasonable range, which Nikki, is it 250,000? Okay. So Ms. Simmons will clarify that, but this is going to allow us to go at the beginning of the year contract approval of everything that falls within that range. All these other items you see on a contracts and procurement consent calendar are over that range, and those will always come individually to us.
So then if I had an issue with a particular contract that you were going to sign, I could come into the next meeting and bring that up?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Simmons.
No problem. You can stay up here. But Nikki Simmons, Chief Financial Officer. To answer the question, what this item is just goes on the first agenda of every year. And it is the renewal of items that have already been solicited, contracted, so that a lot of our contracts, we enter into a 5-year agreement with 1 year at a time. So these are contracts that the board has already approved. We're just renewing that for 1 additional year through that 5-year normal process. Any other things that are coming up for new solicitation come back to the board on an ongoing basis. And so these aren't anything that says it's anything, at $150,000. These contracts could be, for example, I'm sure on here, and I didn't look at the list this morning, I apologize, and there was a list in the backup of every contract that we're asking for this to be approved. So it's not every contract for the year that's being approved. It's the specific contracts that were on the backup to this. And it is the renewal of contracts that we already entered into, just allowing us to continue to operate into 2024. So things like software renewals, so like our Microsoft software, or I think on here, our audit renewal is on there because those have already been solicited for 5 years.
Thank you. Great question. Thank you, Ms. Simmons. Okay. We have a motion and a second. I'll call the roll. Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Aye.
Commissioner Geithner.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That consent calendar passes 5-0. Item number 11.
Item number 11 is the proclamation recognizing Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Cami Bremer, Chair, Board of County Commissioners.
And if we have anyone here for this item today, please feel free to come forward. And I would like to move approval of the following proclamation recognizing Martin Luther King Jr. Day. In the spirit of unity, I am fine if someone else would like to read this. Are there any volunteers? Commissioner Geithner.
Madam Chair, I'm completely fine with you reading this.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Gonzalez, we do take into consideration everything, and I think this particular proclamation, let's talk about figuring out ways to get along and find out what's in common. And thank you for allowing me to read this today. I'd like to move approval of the following proclamation recognizing Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Whereas the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was born on January 15th, 1929, and dedicated his life to promoting peace, freedom, equality, and justice for all through nonviolent means, and challenged all of us to participate in the never-ending work of building and sustaining the beloved community. And whereas Dr. King's teachings continue to guide and inspire us in addressing challenges and opportunities that arise in our diverse world. And whereas Martin Luther King Jr. Day, a federal holiday falling on the third Monday of every January, celebrates King's birth, honors his life and legacy, and raises awareness and ongoing need to advance civil and human rights, was enacted as a federal holiday in 1983, becoming the first federal holiday honoring an African American. And whereas on August 28, 1963, the Reverend Dr. King delivered a historic speech at the Lincoln Memorial, which called for an end to racism in the United States, saying, "Let us not wallow in the valley of despair. I say to you today, my friends." And so even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. And whereas the Reverend Dr. King proclaimed, "I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." And whereas the Reverend Dr. King also said in his historic address, "And this will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with new meaning. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. From every mountainside, let freedom ring." And whereas El Paso County proudly recognizes the spirit, determination, and achievements of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Now, therefore, the Board of County Commissioners of El Paso County, Colorado, hereby recognizes January 15th, 2024 as Martin Luther King Jr. Day to honor the accomplishments and sacrifices of those who work to ensure equality, dignity, and opportunity for all. Done this 9th day of January 2024 at Colorado Springs, Colorado. Signed, the Board of County Commissioners of El Paso County, Colorado, Cami Bremer, Chair, Carrie Geithner, Vice Chair, Lojinos Gonzalez Jr., Stan Vanderwerf, and Holly Williams, members, and attested to by Steve Schleicher, Clerk and Recorder.
Second.
That has been moved and seconded. Do we have any members of the public wishing to speak on this item today?
Good
If
morning.
so, please introduce yourself.
I am Kimberly Reese. I have the privilege and the honor of standing before you today on behalf of the newly formed Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Legacy Preservation Society. We are taking over the work that Colorado College has done for many years in recognizing the Martin Luther King Day of events. I also have the privilege of standing before you on behalf of Colorado State University Extension Office. I thank you so much, and I appreciate you so much, Commissioner Gonzalez, Commissioner Williams, Commissioner Vanderwerf, Vice Chair Geithner, and Chair Bremer, for all of your work, for just being supportive of the work, because it continues to be relevant today in our political, our civil, and our economic climate today. We continue to see that the words and the works of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. remain relevant. They remain unfinished. And it is up to us to continue in that work of unity, to continue in the words of the pledge that we stated today, that we are indivisible, we are united, that we are one as a community. And we reach out to one another on January 15th every year to embrace our differences, which are not so different after all. So I stand here to thank you. I stand here to say you are appreciated more than you know. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for being here today. Are there any events taking place on Monday that we should know about?
Oh, yes. We definitely are continuing with the works that Colorado College started many years ago. We will have the All People's Breakfast at Ed Robeson Arena, and then we will have a small march, unfortunately due to weather, down to the Cornerstone Arts Center, which will be on Cash and Cascade, and continue with the program that we usually do in Acacia Park there at the CAC. So we hope to see many of you there.
Excellent.
And we will
Thank you.
have Tony Exum Sr. as one of our main speakers for the day.
Excellent. Are there any other people here wishing to speak on this proclamation? I'm seeing head nods. Okay.
If I might say, Madam Chair,
Yes.
now's your chance. Don't be shy. Come on up and speak if you want. And if I still can't get any takers, then so be it. Okay.
Okay, excellent. I know that in the process of putting together this this proclamation and working with several organizations in town, there are multiple organizations that have been involved in this. I know the Black Chamber of Commerce, your newly formed organization, and those who were formerly part of the SCLC as well, continuing that that legacy of putting together these events and making sure that on that Monday, where many of us get a holiday, that we're remembering who and why and what it's for. Thank you very much. Commissioner Geithner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to say that though this day is named after Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., to me it is very symbolic of many things the speaker said about the continued work in our world and our community to treat each other equally, to live up to the ideals of this country consistently. So I just want to acknowledge that that is that. I also want to say in many years past, and I know last year we spoke about this as well, Henry Allen was a big part of this conversation. He was a dear friend that I know is certainly missed. And as you talked about the folks that continue to be involved from Southern Christian Leadership Conference, it's my understanding that they are working diligently to revive that here. And I am hopeful and look forward to having them participate next year.
Thank you, Commissioner Geithner. Are there any other comments?
Yes, I always appreciate doing this resolution. I say this every year, and I guess every year we may have a different crowd. So I do remember I spent some time in DC in 1986 at all of the monuments, but when we went back when I was first a commissioner and I was able to see the Martin Luther King Jr. monument and the stone rolling forth, I was just amazed at the quality of that monument, the quotes, the legacy to Martin Luther King Jr. I think that we shouldn't wallow in the valley of despair, and I do believe that we really should be judged by the quality of our character. And he did such a great thing for our country in bringing forward the fact that many individuals still did not have the right to vote, and they were still not treated as equal citizens. And I think we need to strive every day to treat each other equally and to treat people as equal citizens. And so I'm very much in support of this resolution. And I'm sorry I cannot attend the breakfast on Monday. I'm out of town. So.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. And, you know, Martin Luther King, there's many people in our history that are heroes of mine, and Martin Luther King is definitely one of them. And I have mentioned this at previous proclamation statements, so I'll have to say it again today. But my dad was a minister. He's passed away, but he marched with Martin Luther King back in the day. And so I think there's an interesting legacy connection between relatives of my family and Martin Luther King and his team. You know, equal opportunity is so important. It's something that we've got to have. We have to fight for it. Now, we also have to realize that people are just simply born with different capabilities. Some are exceptionally intelligent and some are not. So it's really equal opportunity that's critical here, that everybody gets a chance. Everybody gets a chance. And I appreciate Commissioner Geithner's comments about Henry Allen. He was a very close friend of mine as well. And he was just fantastic. He had this ability to bridge communities with all kinds of people, including this Board of County Commissioners. And he would come to us and say, hey, we have a challenge this or a challenge that. Could you help me figure out how to solve it? And all of us remember those phone calls from Henry Allen. Those were really wonderful. I do want to talk about Martin Luther King just a little bit. And while we were going through the proclamation here, I just pulled up on the internet, and it's 55 quotes from Martin Luther King. I just want to read 2 of them because the breadth and depth of this man, while we certainly know he fought for civil rights and other issues like that, but the breadth and depth of this man was much beyond that. The first one I want to read is, "Our scientific power has outrun our spiritual power. We have guided missiles and misguided men." You think about that. So he had components of technology in his head. He had components of the character of people in his head. This is kind of an amazing quote. And there's so many more amazing ones. And then I'll finish with this last one. It is one of my favorites. And see, make sure I can find it. There we go. Darkness, and you all will know this one, but I got to say it. Darkness can drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. How does it get better than that? That's just really something. So anyway, I'm going to be voting yes. And thank you for everything that you all do to remember Martin Luther King's legacy, but also it's so important to take that legacy and keep pressing forward. That's very, very important, which is exactly what you're doing. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Gonzalez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I want to thank you for all this, the great work. I know we already mentioned some of the legacy that we've seen in the last several years, and Henry Allen and others, so many others, and appreciate all that great work. Opportunity, we want it to happen. We've been doing what we can. Great strides since MLK and the sad events back then. But we remember his legacy, the advancements. It's still a struggle. I remember when I was in high school, top student, went to my counselor, told him I wanted to go, I want to apply to the Air Force Academy. I was told, no, you're not going to get in. And so I applied anyways. And you keep trying and trying until I struggled my freshman year. My roommate told me, you better quit before they kick you out. And I tried anyways, and I got past it on honors my last 3 years. The military, same thing. The struggle you see, I think the opportunities are there, but unless you are a minority, sometimes you don't see it. Sometimes you don't see the roadblocks. Sometimes you don't see the hard work some people have to do to advance. And when I was told, hey, you can't run for county commissioner, nobody's going to support you. And I won anyways, and so I was the first Hispanic to get elected county commissioner. And those roadblocks mean things. And then sometimes, unless you're a minority, you don't understand that. And I just hope those roadblocks don't continue. And we've seen great advancements, and I'm proud of that. But I know the struggle continues. And that's why I fight sometimes very hard on things. And I want to continue to be there for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Geithner, were you done with your comments? Okay. With that, I will wrap this up. While Martin Luther King Jr.'s life was cut short 56 years ago this year, if you think about that, how many of us were alive when that happened in this room? Not many. And that's why it's so much more important that we continue to talk about his legacy, remember him. I actually grew up in the Deep South in Georgia, right in the shadow of Martin Luther King Jr.'s home and his family. And, there are still cultural aspects of the South, but I grew up learning about the aspirational nature and inspirational nature of MLK's work. And most importantly, he did teach us to judge people by their character and to focus on that as we're interacting, as we're going about our business, and above all else, on the character. It was a positive message that if you judge based on character, then the color of one's skin becomes inconsequential. And while no one can control the color of their skin, we all have a choice on our character. And this is a really powerful message. When I watch the news, it seems more and more that there's a racial division, even more than ever before, which is surprising as the political climate has turned hypersensitive on many of these issues and many of these racial issues. But today, I hope that we can truly achieve the vision of MLK Jr. and judge everyone in society by the quality of their character rather than on the color of their skin. And if society returns to focusing on character, I truly believe we can and will achieve a colorblind America. And that is why we're doing this today. We thank you and all those working to continue that legacy here with us today. And again, just an encouragement to take the time to speak to your children about why they have a holiday off of school and make sure they know about this legacy. Thank you very much for being here today. With that, I will call the roll. Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Aye.
Commissioner Geithner.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That passes 5-0. We will take a brief recess, and we have copies of the proclamation for all those organizations that were involved in helping us put it together, and we'd love to do a photo. We're in a brief recess. Welcome back to the Tuesday, January 9th meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. We are on item number 12.
Item number 12 is comments by elected officials and commissioner liaison reports.
And do we have any of our countywide elected officials in the room or online? Hearing none, I'll begin up here. Commissioner Williams.
Yes, thank you, and welcome to a new year. I'm looking forward to some awesome responsibilities and some good things happening in our community. I was happy I hope everybody had as good of a holiday as I did. I had all of my family in town. And while I was grumpy about a few inconveniences, such as having our whole entire small house filled up with all of our kids and only one granddaughter, I'm also happy to have my oldest son and his wife living here permanently now, and that's going to be quite a treat for us. So to finally have some family living close. The last week, we had the Statewide Transportation Advisory Commission meeting at CDOT, and we did have an update on projects in Region 2. Region 2 includes Park County, Teller County, El Paso County, as well as nearly everything from here to Walsenburg and all the way to Lamar. So the important thing was I wanted to thank our CDOT staff, James Ferguson and John Hall, who direct much of these projects. The important ones going in our area are the Garden of the Gods to Fillmore expansion. There is a funnel there that's created because of an old bridge as well as a railroad track bridge. Which replacing railroad bridges are a lot of effort because it has to deal with the federal government. And so that is obviously in progress, and that will be an inconvenience for quite some time. But when it's done, we will have a continuous on-off ramp all the way, I believe, up to Interquest Parkway and down to Circle. That doesn't mean we're a long way, that we're not in great need of more money in transportation in our state, and we will see where our state legislature chooses to dedicate those funds. We've also got a project starting on Powers Boulevard. The western gate of Peterson Air Force Base is going to be closed while we expand the intersection at Powers Boulevard and Airport Road. That should be starting soon. And also during this time in December, they had a railroad crash in Pueblo, and that has also been CDOT's responsibility, and they did a pretty good job getting that road back open pretty quickly. I wanted to thank our Department of Transportation staff. We've had several snowstorms, and they've also been heavily involved in what is called our MAMSIP project, which is down in Fountain and includes several projects, one out by Schriever Air Force Base and Peterson Air Force Base. And if you ask for what MAMSIP stands for, it's a federal government acronym, and I would have to work on that. But military access. We have just in going over my calendar this week, Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments is tomorrow. The Pikes Peak Rural Transportation Authority is tomorrow. We do have our land use meeting this week, and and then other than that, I've got a weekend with my sister and my girls in Salt Lake City. So I am looking forward to a busy week, a wonderful weekend, and getting back to business as we enjoy 2024. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So some comments regarding some agenda items that I'll be participating in through the week, but also some other comments. And the first one is I'll be participating in a couple of events this evening in Denver. These are, if you will, some of the kickoff parties that take place just before the beginning of the legislative session. And we will be going back into a legislative session. I imagine some of my fellow commissioners will have additional comments, but we will once again have a legislative session that may be some challenging for us. Key things that I always am concerned about, and it does look like some of this will be coming this session, is sending unfunded mandates down to counties, and every time the state does that, that means there's another road or park or another road that can't get repaired or a park that can't be maintained. And I'm going to start off just before the session starts, asking the state legislature to not do that to us. Please stop doing that to us. The dollars that we collect locally are for local issues. I ask the state legislature, if you want to do something, whether I agree with it or not, if you want to do something, also fund it. Fund it, please. Don't send it down to us. The other one that they've had a tendency to do is also take local authorities away. And it looks like some version of 213, which was basically a little bit of a play on words here, a land grab from the state to take local authority away regarding land use. This is local developments. So the state seems to have an interest in believing that they can do land use for everybody in the entire state out of Denver. Now think about that. I mean, in our list, through the course of a year, we do thousands of land use things. Some of them big projects, some of them single individual house projects, just a huge variety of those. And there are unique characteristics of our community here that are going to get lost if all of that is done in Denver. And think about a rural community land use being managed in rural communities by people that live in cities for the most part. Those are just, they just need to leave that alone, let local government deal with that. And the other great thing about it is that if it's kept at local government, it means that citizens in that local environment are likely to have much more access to their local elected officials and can express their concerns or support for item A, item B, whatever it is. But when the state takes that away from us, taking local authorities away, that's, I think, very, very dangerous. And there's a tendency in both of these, unfunded mandates and removal of local authorities. So I know that this board will continue to fight those things, and I ask you to join us in that fight to stop it. Tomorrow I'll be at the PPACG meeting along with some of my fellow colleagues, and I just want to mention thank you to the chair who asked me to mention this, so that PPACG is doing a transportation corridor study, and it will be out for public comment, or maybe it is out now. It is out now. And this is an opportunity for citizens to provide input to that transportation corridor study. So if you've got issues or concerns about the major transportation routes, it could be, a local regional route or maybe one of the major highways, this is an opportunity for you to provide those inputs. I would encourage you to do that. Then, of course, we mentioned our land use meeting Thursday morning. And then continuing through, next week, I'll just mention this one item for next week. On Wednesday, 17 January, will be the State Board of Health meeting, and I sit on that board. I also sit on the state's Homeland Security Advisory Committee, and even though we just did liaison and board appointments, those are the ones that kind of relate to county issues. Many of us on this podium here also participate in state boards, and I don't believe they are on that list, and then maybe also may be on boards for local nonprofits. So while you see that list there, we also play a role at the state level on boards, and we also play a role just in our own philanthropic endeavors on local boards. But Wednesday next week on the 17th, I'll be going to the State Board of Health meeting and representing Congressional District 5. That's my duty up there. I find it interesting, and I'll just make this point about that State Board of Health for those of you that may not know. But the state did not have a CD5 representative on the State Board of Health during COVID. We did not have representation during COVID. I was appointed afterwards, and I'm glad we now have a representative on that board. But I remain distraught that we did not have somebody that could speak for us during COVID. And that really was, I think, a failure of the state to get everything lined up correctly so that we could have a voice there. That is fixed today, but it was very unfortunate that during those 2 years we didn't have a representative at that State Board of Health meeting. And those are my comments for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Gonzalez.
Thank you. Great words, especially Commissioner Vanderwerf's concerns about the legislature. So I wanted to start off by thanking all the practical government students from Charis Bible College and any other representatives from the school. Thank you for coming out. I always greatly appreciate seeing so many faces and people being involved and learning about our government and wanting to step up and either become involved in government or just in our community. So I greatly appreciate that a lot. And I look forward to seeing you on Friday during the class. Looking forward to that. I think it'll be my 4th year doing that now. And beyond that, I'll keep it short. I did want to highlight during our the winter conference, I very politely made some comments to our Secretary of State. I had been seeing her on television, Jenna Griswold. I've seen her on television a lot, making a lot of comments, partisan, biased. She's Secretary of State. She's supposed to be the most unbiased and nonpartisan person in the state. And I was very kind to my statements to her then to ask her to, if she was going to go on television, remain unbiased or stop going on national television. But she has continued to do so. So what I'm going to say is a little stronger this time. So shame on Secretary of State Jenna Griswold as she continues to what appears to be comments made on television for her future endeavors, possibly for further political career and self-promotion on national television. She's supposed to be the most unbiased and nonpartisan elected official in the state. Instead, she's an embarrassment to Colorado as she continues to berate Republicans and presidential candidates on television. As was nicely already commented on, the Democrat-run legislature and the governor are threats to the good of Colorado. But let's be clear, the greatest threat to democracy in Colorado is Jenna Griswold. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's please keep the decorum in the auditorium so that we can hear everything that needs to be said. Thank you very much, Commissioner. Commissioner Geithner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So a couple of things, many of the things on my calendar have also been mentioned, but there will be a Pikes Peak Library District meeting and as well as PPRTA. To the point of the legislative session starting, obviously this is something that we watch very carefully here and participate in. Many of the things that have been mentioned, unfunded mandates, all those things continue to be a concern here. When the state decides that they, to Commissioner Vanderwerf's point, decides that they want to do something, but hey, they don't have the money, they don't want to spend their money on it, and they push it down here, we're forced to figure out how to pay for that. And that is a very difficult position to put us in, especially when oftentimes there are things that we don't want to see. As a political subdivision of the state, our authority is derived from the state, however. So it puts us in a very difficult position of how to make sure that we are doing the best things for our citizens when we have a state legislature that continues to ignore that there are local governments that are elected by the people. I think, though, I know that I am willing, and I know this board has been very willing to push back on those things. There is a statute that says that the state is not supposed to push down unfunded mandates. And so I look forward to having more conversations and seeing, how we can stand on that legal footing here at the County Commission so that we can best protect residents. I think, though, one of the things that's become more and more frustrating to me is I hear Governor Polis standing up and saying things about the cost of living and the cost of housing and saying they're going to make changes. But in reality, the cost of living and the cost of housing is a direct result of the decisions the governor and the state legislature have made. You cannot collect more money from people and make it less expensive for them. You cannot make housing less expensive by continuing to pass more regulations. We have these conversations, we talk about that here, we send letters, we talk to them, we go up, we testify. They are deaf to the reality of economics. And we are going to, I know this board is 100% behind this. I sit on the Regional Building Board. We have these conversations over there, and we are going to continue to do our best. Citizens need to know when Jared Polis stands up there and says, I'm trying to lower the cost of living, when he says, I've made an office, how to save people money. It's very simple. I could tell him how to save a whole lot of money real fast. And so I just want to say, I'm tired of politicians making statements and doing the complete opposite, and I know that you are too, and we are going to continue to stand for that. I look forward to that battle, though I don't look forward to what they're going to try to do. I look forward to the battle because it's the right thing to do for citizens, and it's an easy thing for this board to stand up and point out the very realities that are happening on the ground. We don't get to sit up in Denver and just pretend that we don't know how those policies are affecting residents here. So I look forward to engaging in that dialogue up there, and I just want to assure residents, you can rest assured that this board is committed, I know, and I'm very grateful for the support for the liaison position that we voted on today, but I know that this board is fully behind making sure that our voices are heard up there.
Excellent. Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Yeah, my apologies. I guess I want just one quick comment. I want to thank my colleagues for their comments. It sounds like we're pretty feisty this first board meeting of 2024, but I happen to like it. And, you know, one of those pieces of legislation, there was a series of greenhouse gas bills passed in last legislative cycle and some cycles before that. And one that just went into effect, it just recently went into effect, and that's the one for buildings over 50,000 feet. They have to be exceptionally clean, basically zero emissions, which is a misnomer in terms to begin with. But I find it amazing because we invested in a LEED certified building. The regional building is LEED certified, and it doesn't make the requirement that the state legislature is now imposing on us. That one bill alone is a multi-million-dollar unfunded mandate that would force us to take the heating plant systems out of our larger buildings and turn them into electrically heated buildings. Millions of dollars for that. Taxpayer money wasted. That's dollars that doesn't go to fixing roads. That's dollars that doesn't go to building parks. That's dollars that doesn't go to supporting local nonprofits in our community that help solve community problems off of something like that. And we can't even meet their requirement with a LEED certified building. It's just very, very frustrating. But it sure sounds to me, based on this morning's comments, I think we're going to be fighting pretty hard this cycle. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. So my colleagues have spoken about a lot of the issues you may see coming in the next legislative session. And I want to, I just want to take this opportunity to thank our local delegation, many of whom are fighting hard against these unfunded mandates, against the overregulation, and I know that they are about to head into a season where they're away from their families, and they are fighting for those things for our community here. And I just wanted to commend our legislators that are heading up to the House and Senate in Colorado for continuing the good fight on behalf of our citizens. And I wish them the best, and they can know that on many of those issues that you've heard talked about today, they will have our backing and supporting for really fighting against those things, again, ultimately to serve our citizens better. With that, many of my calendar items were also already named. The one that was not, actually two that weren't, there is also for U.S. Space Command, there is a change of command ceremony tomorrow that conflicts partially with Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments. I think we're going to divide and conquer and maybe run from one to the other to make sure that that our military community feels connected to their local government leaders as well. I believe that General Dickinson will be relinquishing command to General Whiting. Congratulations to both of those stalwart servants for our country. In addition, usually this is the week of the month that the El Paso County Housing Authority meets. That meeting this week, which would normally take place on Wednesday, has been canceled. I wanted to take this opportunity to also thank a longtime servant on that board. We have many, many citizen boards, but Jack Busey will be retiring. He has sat on that El Paso County Housing Authority and brought his real estate expertise to that board for the last 14 years. So he is retiring from that board. That means we have an appointment that we will be making from the real estate sector. And so if you know anyone who would like to apply for that, please encourage them to do so. That is just one of the many boards and commissions that this board utilizes to involve our citizens, to get the things done, and to bring in the expertise that you all have. Okay, I think that is it for me. And once again, no other countywide elected officials online or in the room. Okay, item number 13.
Item number 13 is community service organization reports, and there are none.
Item number 14.
Item number 14 is public comment on items not scheduled on the agenda. This is the public's opportunity to speak on an item that is not scheduled on today's agenda. And Madam Chair, I'm aware of several people who have signed in to speak, and as part of that, there is a group that would like to go in order.
Okay, thank you. Would we like for that group that is going to go in order to perhaps start us off in the public comment period? Okay. Thank you. Please introduce yourself, and you'll have 3 minutes. And anything you submit to the clerk to the board does get distributed to all of us.
Good morning. My name is Candace Stutzream. I'm standing before you as the Canvas board member representing the Republican Party. The purpose of the Canvas board member, for people who aren't aware of that term, it's a 3-member panel that certifies elections, every election. And I'm here with the intention of submitting my minority report into record. Due to the length of the report, I've brought along 6 other people to help me read the report into the record. But if it would please you, Madam Chair, I would prefer to read it all myself, for the purpose of continuity and to keep the pace going more quickly. It's up to you. I could have all 6 people stand up here and we could go one by one. It's your decision.
Thank you very much. I very much appreciate your thinking through this and being efficient. We also, in our board rules and policies and procedures that we passed this morning, we think very diligently about those. While it might be the chairman's prerogative to be able to change those, I don't want to start that as a precedent. And so please do this as you would wish, and we're going to stick with the 3 minutes per person. And again, please know that anything submitted to the clerk is both passed out to us and a part of the official public record as well.
I thank you. In the future, I'll do that.
Thank you.
If I may, I'm going to call up the others so we can go tag team real quickly. Next would be Linda Bissett and Nathaniel Howard, LaDonna Robertson, Desra Conrad, Ann Easton, and Donna LaBelle.
Thank you.
I'll begin. The minority report is dated December 5th and addressed to Steve Schleicher, Clerk and Recorder of El Paso County. From myself, the Republican Canvas Board member. In keeping with the spirit of Section 11, Article 7 of the Colorado Constitution, quote, to secure the purity of elections and to guard against the abuses of the elective franchise, I have elected not to certify the November 7th, 2023 coordinated election on behalf of the El Paso County Republican Party. My findings are based partially on the action, rules, and statutes of the Colorado Secretary of State, while other complaints are directed at election operations observed in El Paso County. Colorado Secretary of State. The duties of the Canvas Board member are outlined in CRS 1-10-101.5, calls for reconciliation of the number of ballots counted in an election not to exceed the number of ballots cast, to reconcile that ballots cast by precinct does not exceed the number of electors registered, and then to certify that the entire abstract of votes cast in the election. The concept that the only duty of the Canvas Board member is to agree that 4 sets of contrived numbers actually agree, and that the comparison translates to an endorsement of the veracity of the entire election is simply irrational. This process has been in place for years as the Secretary of State has incrementally shifted the burden of the election supervision away from the people and the county and concentrated it under her purview. What of the origin of the numbers themselves? Ballots cast begins with unchecked, inflated voter rolls presently under court order in Colorado to rein them in. Countless undeliverable ballots have proliferated, ripe for exploitation. With no chain of custody, fraudulent ballots can be created in the wild, mailed in or stuffed into obscure drop boxes. Next, they are processed at blinding speed by an enigmatic, automated process that, as legal experts assert, amounts to no signature verification at all. There is no way to prove there is a single verified legal voter behind each ballot that is cast. Ballots counted are numbers arrived at by uncertified Chinese-built tabulators with dubious internet capability designed right into the machines. However, if these numbers agree, then is there nothing to discuss? The certification process has been dumbed down to eliminate human judgment and oversight. Even the audit process is absurdly contrived to fool the ignorant and turn away the jaded. By reducing CBM duties to a shell game of comparing numbers, you have eliminated their voice and disenfranchised tens of thousands of voters they represent. The Canvas Board members are effectively a facade of citizen oversight. This process turns out the light on an already dim, deliberately opaque process that benefits the few and enslaves the rest. The numbers can't be verified, therefore they cannot be certified.
Number 2, the Secretary of State in Colorado has not done enough to prevent non-citizens from appearing on the voter rolls, nor to prevent them from voting. Colorado Amendment 76, the Citizens Requirement for Voting Initiative, was initiated into law on November 3rd, 2020. It states, only a citizen of the United States who has attained the age of 18 years shall be qualified to vote at all elections. Amendment 76 is a change to the Colorado Constitution. According to Legislative Supremacy Clause, all statutes, rules, and county regulations are subordinate to the state constitution. The Secretary of State has sworn fealty to the state constitution in her oath of office. It is her duty to promulgate rules which uphold the superior law of the Constitution, which should include a provision to verify citizenship. Presently, non-citizens are able to receive driver's licenses and social security numbers in Colorado, 2 of the numeric identifiers necessary to register to vote. Although our citizens voted to make citizenship a requirement to participate in elections, Secretary of State Jena Griswold has seized this open door. In October of 2022, she infamously accidentally mailed postcards to 30,000 non-citizens who possessed both social security numbers and driver's license numbers to encourage them to register to vote. Today, non-citizen voters may present themselves to receive a ballot at statewide voting services and polling centers. Here, the voter is asked to simply check a box to verify their citizenship and eligibility to vote. The system relies on the elector's signature on the form to attest that all the information is correct. Many non-citizens are already felons for illegally entering the United States. Colorado is asking felons with prolonged disregard for the U.S. law to attest to their own citizenship. It might be reasonable to offer these unvetted voters a provisional ballot until the question is resolved. Instead, by signing the form and attesting to their own citizenship, they are awarded a regular ballot with no follow-up or intention to verify. El Paso County voting operations. Title 1.7.5-105 indicates the Secretary of State shall promulgate rules to ensure the privacy of each voting elector's vote. In recent elections, a secrecy envelope was incorporated to conceal and maintain the confidentiality of the elector's vote. This year, a new contract with a printer out of Washington State eliminated the security sleeve and opted for a security pattern to be printed on the inside of the surface of the return envelope. The security pattern was intended to be sufficiently occlusive to ensure privacy of the voters' selections. However, this approach failed to pass the at-home candling test to simply shining a bright light from one's cell phone beneath the envelope. Doing so easily revealed the marked bubbles on the experimental ballot and a $20 bill inside another.
Thank you for letting us speak. This complaint was reported during this election cycle and dismissed by the Secretary. The state makes clear that the use of secrecy sleeve is decided upon agreement between the clerk and the SOS. If the trend is to eliminate the security sleeve, then attempts to make the ballot secure by obscuring the envelope must be improved upon to ensure the fundamental veracity of the secret ballot in El Paso County as required in statute. Other questions regarding die-cut holes in the envelopes, which reveal mysterious barcodes, in addition to multiple barcodes on the external and return envelopes, raises concern for voter privacy. One Midwestern state passed legislation that no markings unreadable to humans are permitted on the outside of their envelopes, for good reason. Citizens with barcode readers claim these markings reveal the party of the voter. I place the burden of proof on the clerk and the recorder and the USPS, United States Postal Service, to explain the importance of these markings and assure the public that voter personal identification information is not compromised. I prefer the elimination of the markings altogether in the interest of complete transparency. 2, when Secretary Griswold awarded $1 million to county clerks in the interest of enhancing election security, EPC clerk Schleicher made a wise choice to do something about those security cameras. The video surveillance cameras trained on the 39 ballot drop boxes scattered throughout the county were decrepit and in disrepair. He rolled out the new system to public acclaim, asserting that the new solar-powered system exceeded all SOS rules and stated and offered full transparency to counter the waves of misinformation surrounding voter drop box insecurity. Security of the operation. If the SOS wanted to catch the perps, the cameras would be trained to see their face, observe their hands, to identify their car, and even digitally record the license plate. That would be money well spent. Seems what we got was a facelift on the old decrepit systems that never worked. We can do better. Ballot drop boxes in the post office have neither counters nor chain of custody documents nor adequate security measures. So ballots which electors believe have been faithfully cast might be lost. Oh, skipped a page. Did. Specifically this regards the cameras. Specifically Rule 7.41 regarding surveillance security areas requires the county clerk to adequately light all drop box locations. The ballots must be collected in a locked container, and both the drop slot and container must be monitored. Signage must inform voters that it's a violation of law for any person to collect more than 10 ballots in any election. Drop box locations must be open 24 hours, and the video security surveillance must be retained by the county. A light, a lock, a container, a video camera, a sign, and don't destroy the recordings, not a high bar. It's not difficult to exceed standards when the expectations are set so low. Most of us saw the documentary 2,000 Mules, and we know what can and does happen at voter drop boxes. What exactly does the system do to prevent this nefarious activity? Sadly, for many of the boxes, these security measures will do little to thwart the crime. Thank you.
For many, the camera is positioned behind the drop box, obscuring view of the slot. The observer is unable to verify the honor system of 10 ballots per election is being practiced during those 3 a.m. visits. The camera cannot visualize the car, the person, or the activity of the voter. The slots are not designed to accept only single envelopes like the post office, so it's open to as many as one can force through the slot without calling attention to themselves. Further, the cameras do not detect the license plate of the vehicles transiting the drop box. There is no assumption of privacy for a license plate in a public area. It is publicly displayed label indicating vehicle registration, ownership, and residence for the purposes of associating the vehicle to the operators themselves and their actions. What better way to detect repeat visits to the drop boxes than by identifying the license plate? It's as if the security systems are set up to create the appearance of security when little has been actually achieved to enhance overall scrutiny of the operation. If the Secretary of State wanted to catch the perps, the camera would be trained to see their face, observe their hands to identify their car, and even digitally record the license plate. That would be money well spent. Seems what we got was a facelift on the old decrepit system that never worked. We can do better. Ballot drop boxes and the post office have neither counters nor chain of custody documents, nor adequate security measures. So ballots which electors believe have been faithfully cast might be lost, accidentally or intentionally, before being processed inside the clerk's office. Since the number of such ballots is unknown, it could conceivably be large enough to reverse the results of any contest. Therefore, the results of the election are unknown and the election cannot be certified. Number 3, the risk limiting audit is an enigma, and deliberately so. It is an unsolvable puzzle set up to be a mathematical Gordian knot for the voters to muse upon. Rather than rely on a hand count recount, which is observable, repeatable, and understood by all, Secretary of State disallowed the hand count recount of voter verified paper records, actual ballots, in SB 23-276. She also eliminated the possibility of a third-party audit, of any third-party audits of an election in SB 22-153, in place of the time-tested and people-proven hand count method and the objectivity of a disinterested third-party audit. Secretary of State implemented a concept so esoteric and poorly understood that even those conducting the test seem to not understand how it is intended to work.
It starts with a toss of 20 10-sided dice, plural of die, to establish a random seed to begin the count. This is the stuff PhD mathematicians dream of. However, the developer of the concept, Dr. Philip Stark of Berkeley, California, now warns that the use of risk-limiting audit as an election watchdog has lost its way, and that elections are at risk for it. Dr. Stark has been consulted regarding Colorado's statewide RLL for its November 7th, 2023 coordinated election. The study is presently underway. In El Paso County and all of Colorado, the risk limit is set at 3% of roughly 2,000 ballots cast. The risk limit of 6,000 ballots. That means the test can involve no more than a pool of 6,000. Of the 6,000, a smaller number is divided by the SOS to be audited. For our 2 races, Secretary of State instructed that 205 ballots be selected, retrieving from the storage and compared against the cast vote record. The audit passed with flying colors. All the ballots were filed perfectly and the ballots matched the images. Be aware, 205 of 200,000 is a ratio of 0.00125 or 0.125% of the total ballots cast. The sample is absurdly small to have meaning in a contest like Proposition HH vote, where the margin was almost 68,000. That's enough for me to raise my hand and ask for help. The state Republican Party is demanding an explanation we can all understand. I do understand hand-counted paper ballots. Let the people speak. Number 4, the riddle of the perpetual wall of undeliverable ballots continues to confound the observer. Nearly 28,000 undeliverable priced at $8 a ballot totals approximately $225,000 in wasted money and resources. Despite the lauded Experian project and court-ordered efforts by the Secretary of State to trim up the voter rolls, inactive voters are rapidly replaced by new activities, and the cycle seems to continue. The problem appears unsolvable. Suggested the EPC clerk convene an interdisciplinary team of investigators, USPS experts, voter advocates, and election supervisors to brainstorm new approaches to solve this perennial problem. I was not informed of the pre-election. Number 5, I was not informed of the pre-election demonstration of the logic and accuracy test, and therefore did not witness or attest to the results. The LAT determines that the voting system is properly programmed, the election is correctly defined, and the voting system and all of the voting system's input, output, and communication devices are working properly in advance of conducting the election. Statute requires notice that the public test will be posted in the county for the last 7 days before the public test. Colorado Okay.
Colorado Rev Stat 1-7-509 states the public test shall be open to representatives of the political parties, the press, and the public. Each major political party, minor political party, ballot issue committee may designate one person who shall be allowed to witness all public tests and the counting of pre-test votes. I was not invited. The Republican Party was not represented. I notified the clerk of their indiscretion upon discovery. An after-the-fact report of the logic and accuracy test is now being prepared. In fairness to Steve Schleicher and the entire staff of the El Paso County Elections Department, I would be remiss not to end this report on a positive note. Since Steve first set foot in the office, his list of improvements, changes to procedure, and finding better ways altogether has not gone unnoticed. From the Experian project to the surveillance cameras to the new suite of tabulators, including enhanced security measures, all have gone a long way to restore openness with the public they serve. I believe our relationship of holding each other to account and raising the bar of transparency will continue to produce meaningful, positive change in voter operations in EPC. As we keep our eye on the shared interest of people above the voice of the of the shared interest of protecting our first right of suffrage, the secret ballot, and placing the voice of the people above the voice of the elective franchise, we will accomplish more together than we can apart. Respectfully, Candace Stutzreim, Republican Canvass Board Member, El Paso County. Thank you for allowing us to share this before you, and we just invite the creator of the universe to join team with us to expose what is hidden and bring it into the light. Thank you, County Commissioners. Appreciate this.
Thank you. And thank you very much for respecting the board rules and working within that. Appreciate it.
Hi, LaDonna Robertson. I wanted to say, first off, as far as what they proposed today was a phenomenal thing that you really need to look at. And I also wanted to mention that several of us were supposed to speak in front of the city council. However, they needed some help with speaking today, and so we canceled our event. The reason we had to do that, though, is because the county commissioners and the city council have meetings that are on the same day at the same time. And I would like to see you guys try to do something to where they're separated, so we don't have to do this back and forth, so that if somebody needs to speak at both meetings, they would be able to go ahead and do so. Is there a liaison that you can deal with, or who you need to speak with for this to take place? Madam Chair?
You know, that it is a continued point of conversation. You know, both both bodies have very different business to deal with. There is some overlapping constituency and definitely an openness to transparency and letting, being accommodating to people coming to either body at any time with every meeting. So I think it continues to be an issue of conversation, but it's not, it's probably not going to change in the near future.
Okay, all right, well, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good morning, County Commissioners. My name is Terry Euland. I'd like to offer a prayer for you guys. Heavenly Father, thank you. Thank you for the governing council members that are seated in this place. And we thank you, members, for the service to our city and our county. We appeal to heaven, to our Heavenly Father, our Savior, the Lord Jesus Christ, and to our beloved Holy Spirit, our counselor, our helper, and our strengthener. We ask that the Lord would empower our officials here, the executive branch of our county and city government, the legislative branch, and the judicial branch. We ask that you would fall upon each member in our government with wisdom, with power, with ability, with efficiency, and with mighty understanding. Lord, we ask that you would give our commissioners and our public servants in El Paso County and Colorado Springs wise and timely counsel, knowledge, and that you would cause them to sense the reverent and the obedient fear of the Lord. Council members, commissioners, government officials, may you execute your duties with right standing, with justice, and with equity and integrity. Legislate with fairness for the meek, for the poor, for the downtrodden, and those unable to speak for themselves. We thank you for this in Jesus' name, that you would bless our commissioners, their families, and grant them peace and blessing in this 2024 season. Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak on any item not on the agenda? Please introduce yourself and your 3 minutes will begin.
Hi, my name is Renee Sintis. I was here a month ago. First thing I wanted to say is thank you for addressing the Meridian Rex Road issue. We are very happy that's going to be fixed. I almost got killed a couple times at that intersection. I'm here again about the Cherokee Metropolitan Board vacancy. I just wanted to give you an update that there are now, on the petition that you were handed at the last meeting, there's now 630 petition signers. At the last election, Mr. Daniels did get 143 votes, which was a third of the votes the winners got. So he was handily removed from office. 2 weeks ago, I was informed by somewhat reliable sources that the fix is in, that there's been several communications between you all and Cherokee, that at that time I chose to not believe that you're not going to, these rumors, and that you're not going to you were not going to ignore the voters' wishes. But yesterday, then I was informed of communication between a current board member and staff on all the reversals that will affect citizens once you appoint Mr. Daniels to the position. I'm still choosing to believe that the 5 of you care more about what the citizens want, no matter what I'm being told by numerous people. And I'm choosing to believe when you told me you all knew nothing about what was happening, and that you're unbiased in all of this. I'm praying I'm not proven naive and wrong. There were 7 applicants. I again removed myself. And without me or Mr. Daniels, there's 5 others, and I think they're all 5 seem to be great people. So, thank you.
Thank you. And if I could ask our county attorney, do we have this scheduled next week as a regular business item next Tuesday?
Yes, ma'am, we do.
Okay. All right. So again, today is for public comment for items not on the agenda. We appreciate anything you have to say. In that 3 minutes, we will be considering this item as a full item with full discussion next week. And I believe, was there also some documentation that will now be included in that packet for next week?
Yes, ma'am, there is. Mrs. Ferguson actually had sent an email to the clerk to the board containing a list of folks that they would like considered for the appointment. Ms. Ferguson, you're going to receive an email from one of my staff asking for dates of birth for those folks so that we can ensure that they're eligible. Oh, okay.
So those will be included in the backup materials for us to fully consider in full next week. Okay, any other citizens wishing to speak on any item not on the agenda? Yes, sir, please introduce yourself and your 3 minutes can begin.
Hello, my name is Dan Wall. I'm the one that caused that whole problem. I was a board member on the Cherokee Metro Board. Unfortunately, I had to resign.
Sir, can I ask you to speak into the microphone?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, my name is Dan Wall. I'm the one that caused the issue with the Cherokee Metro Board. I apologize. Unfortunately, I had to resign due to medical reasons. That was in October 6th. But before that, I just wanted to say something about you commissioners. I'm in complete awe. I couldn't be more proud to be a El Paso County citizen, because you guys are the most professional and thorough that I've seen. And today, actually, I was going to say that before, but today really impressed me because you stand up to the state. You represent us very well. So again, I appreciate you very much. I was going to try and comment on something on the agenda, but you guys didn't allow it, and it's probably because it's usually not up for public comment. It was about the procedures. Commissioner Vanderwerf mentioned printing those, the parliamentary procedures. I have them here. And they mentioned, so I'm going to use a little loophole because it wasn't allowed. They mentioned public hearings, and I'm assuming that meeting next week is a public hearing. So in the parliamentary procedures, it doesn't allow for that. I know, of course, it's unique, so we know it's never been done. But I was kind of hoping to see something. And Mr. Hodges, and I don't blame you, but it's something that probably needs to be added, maybe at the beginning of that next meeting, or I don't know when, but it's something that should be there, in my opinion, so we know the procedure of what's going to happen next week. I'm not for or against any candidate next week, but I do know that citizens like transparency, they like stability, and stability is something I would see in those procedures, but I don't. And then as far as transparency, I heard Renee, she used to be a member of the board on Cherokee. She mentioned transparency. She was talking about basically ex parte communications. At a public hearing, the public should know either before or during that public meeting, some of the communications between the board and other parties to that public meeting. So hopefully that will be published on on SharePoint or however you guys publish it for the public. And yeah, again, I'm very proud to be a citizen, and nobody really knows how hard your job is, but you guys, and maybe Amy Lathan over here, Cherokee General Manager. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And just a quick point of clarification, if an item is agendized, it absolutely is a public hearing. And I will take it upon myself that internal approval of our parliamentary rules or procedures, I did not call for public comment, and that was an oversight on my part. We had a lot going on, and I will take that on fully. But generally, anything you find on the agenda is open to public comment, and anything certainly that is agendized next week is a full-on public hearing. That being said, there's a difference between public hearing and quasi-judicial, and quasi-judicial items are those where we have to be very careful, actually with any item, but we really can't talk publicly amongst ourselves or others until we're all taking in the same information. And if I have not clarified that or I've made it muddier, I'll look to Mr. Hodges to clean that up for me a bit. But next week will be a full public hearing. And I have asked specifically that the emails that came to the clerk overnight last night are included in our packet, and therefore they will then be public as well. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would make one comment. If any resident is ever concerned about whether it's a standard conversation or quasi-judicial, if you have specifics of you believe Commissioner A has spoken or sent in any official calls or emails to whatever, I have no idea what you're interested in, you can do a CORA, a Colorado Open Records Act, and make the request to El Paso County that I heard that Commissioner A had conversations about this topic to this. I would like a record of that call, if there are. I don't know if there's that record, but that's how you would try to get those informations. If it was quasi-judicial, then that individual should be bringing that to the entire board and making reference to it at that board meeting. But if you do have a concern, simply ask for an Open Records Act of the issue you are asking about, and they should give you a copy of that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Commissioner. Okay. Is there anyone else wishing to speak on any item not on the agenda? Yes, sir. Please introduce yourself and you'll have your 3 minutes.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Jeremy Atkinson. I apologize for the late arrival. I was held up at Cherokee Metro turning in 2 recall petitions for the 2 board members that have gone against the voters in trying to reinstate once again someone who was clearly voted off of the board in the last election. Those 2 board members being Stephen Hasbrook and Linda Kelleher. I was here at the last meeting, presented the petition that has now been updated thanks to Renee. You guys now know we are closing in on 5 times the number of signatures that he got votes. We have also surpassed more than twice the number of votes those 2 current board members got in their previous election. So it's very clear the voice of the voters want to move forward in a new direction. I also want to state that at the last meeting and at this meeting, I don't see anything on the agenda where there's public comment for things that are on the agenda. Therefore, I'm relieved I'm here today because I'm one of the 7 who did submit for that open seat. And while I don't think I have any real chance, given the actions of the board at Cherokee, of getting that seat, my hope is the recall will resolve that, and that the voice of the voter, once again, will be correct and will be heard loud and clear. I was glad to hear you guys. I listened to you online on my way over here, and I was so pleased to hear how irritated you are with election behavior from our Secretary of State, taking partisan acts. And I was so pleased to hear the other group that spoke before us regarding not wanting to certify because of election issues. we have full expectation there will be election issues in the recall. I'm not prepared at this time to go into what those are, but I will just say, echoing Renee's comment, I have full faith and confidence in you that you will do the right thing. That once again, as Commissioner Geithner has said over and over and over again, you guys will put the voice of the voter ahead of personal preference in selecting one of the now 5 remaining candidates. So if I am thrown out as considered, and Mr. Daniels, who's sitting quietly at the very top of the auditorium, is also disconsidered, or at least considered a little less because of the voice of the voter, one of the others would be considered a little more heavily. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak on any item not on the agenda? Okay. Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate everybody's testimony this morning, and I do want to make just one more comment with regard to the Secretary of State. I think comments that the Secretary is making is undermining the integrity of the presidential election process in the state of Colorado. She's actually undermining it with that process. I would encourage all of our Democrat friends to also oppose that, because if we had a Secretary of State that was running the presidential election and was publicly saying Trump should be president and Biden is unworthy of being the president, do you think Democrats would be concerned about the integrity of the presidential election in the state of Colorado? You betcha. You betcha. So I remain absolutely baffled why she doesn't see this. She can have her own personal views. Every citizen can, but she should not say that in any of that stuff in this position, period, dot. I would encourage you to talk to your Democrat friends and ask them to also speak out. Use the example that I just made, and let's see if we can start something to get her to stop talking about the election in a partisan way and just run the election. So I would encourage people to do that. I just wanted to make that last comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hodges, do you have any further clarifications or direction that we can, in the interest of full transparency and everybody knowing the regular procedures, any clarification you can provide for next week's hearing on this matter?
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, I'm assuming that you're referencing the Cherokee Metro District appointment. I believe that matter is an executive matter by the board and not quasi-judicial.
Okay, thank you.
Can I just, I know we have a lot of different, and words are being used in different ways, but to clarify as plainly as possible for everyone, because ex parte communication was mentioned, would you just clarify when ex parte communication is not allowable?
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Yes, ex parte communication is not allowable when the board is acting in a quasi-judicial capacity, meaning sitting as a judge based on folks' current rights and responsibilities. Think of a land use subdivision matter would be a good example.
So I'm just going to further clarify again for those of us who aren't attorneys, thank you, that there's no question that the matter being considered is not quasi-judicial, therefore there is not a rule against ex parte communication. So communications are and can continue to be ongoing on that item.
Excellent. Thank you, Commissioner. And Mr. Hodges, thank you. Any other citizens wishing to speak on any item not on today's agenda? And none online? Oh, do we have one more? Okay. Please introduce yourself and your 3 minutes will begin. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Linda Bissett. I was trying to quick look it up and I failed to do so in a timely manner, but there is a statute, I believe it's 1-13-109, that talks very specifically about how elected officials should not say anything that would affect the outcome of an election against a candidate. I know it has been brought to Secretary Griswold's attention online on Twitter. I've seen tweets about this, but it's my personal belief that she has violated that. Your comments seem to agree with me, and I just wanted to put that out there. I will look up that statute, but there is a statute specifically against this.
Thank you very much. Okay, hearing none others wishing to speak on public comment, item number 15.
Item number 15 is the called up consent calendar, and there are no items called up today.
Item 16.
Item number 16 is the resolution to adopt and appropriate the 2024 budget. Nikki Simmons, Chief Financial Officer.
Ms. Simmons.
Good morning, Commissioners. Nikki Simmons, Chief Financial Officer. I'm here this morning to ask for your approval to adopt and appropriate the 2024 budget. This budget is the culmination of a lot of work over the last probably 10 months. And this is something we typically would have been in front of you on December 5th to do, but due to the special legislative session that was held through our state assembly, this had to be postponed. Our statutory deadline is postponed till tomorrow. And this was to give the assessor's offices in Colorado additional time to reassess or to apply a new assessment rate to each residential property. And so today I'm asking for three things. This first resolution is to adopt and appropriate the 2024 budget. And then later items is when we will adopt the mill levy, as well as a transfer resolution, which is more an administrative item. This first item is the budget, and this document incorporates everything that we have talked about over the last several months, which were public budget hearings. We have had this budget online and printed copies in this building open for public inspection, awaiting public comments. We have incorporated any information we received from the commissioners, from administrative staff, as well as the public into this document. And we held a hearing in mid-November in which we made final changes to what we were funding based on commissioner direction. So all of that has been compiled into this final document. The final document, as you can see, has revenues of $446 million, which is net of the $31.6 million TABOR refund, and $491.6 million worth of expenditures. There are no general fund changes to this document that haven't been discussed in public session. We have, the next resolution will be finalizing our mill levy, but this is a chart to show how those property taxes are divided based on an actual property, like an average property, but this is an actual property that we grabbed that shows where the property taxes that are being collected throughout the community go. And so our mill levy is like this slice right here. And that's what we're talking about when we're talking about our mill levy, which we'll adopt in the next item. All of the increases that we have approved from the general fund are listed on these two pages, which were heard through our critical needs hearings. All of them tie to our county strategic plan and specifically focus on our strategic directions and objectives of infrastructure, service quality, community trust, and health and safety. The list of authorized positions is also included in this document. And then I won't go through the rest of this. We've seen this several times throughout the year, but this is the change. There's a list on here. You can see the changes from year to year for both revenues and expenditures. And then you can see the budget at a glance to see by fund how each is made up of revenues and or expenditures, how they are put together by fund and by business unit. Are there any questions for adopting the actual budget today?
I would just have one comment. This document is going to be on our website. Is that correct?
It is either there now or it will be shortly within the next few minutes.
Okay,
It's going up
thank
this
you.
morning.
Thank you. The next item, Commissioner is asking when the mill levy certification is done, and that is the next item. Correct. With my oversight earlier, I'm going to now ask if there are any members of the public wishing to speak on this final budget proposal. Any in the room? And any online? Okay. Any comments, questions? Commissioner Gonzalez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to thank the staff. This is great. I think I mentioned it a couple months ago. I think the best process I've seen in my 7 years as commissioner. So thank you. I think this budget really addresses the needs of the community and a great prioritization of public safety, roads, and infrastructure. And so I'd be more than happy to move to approve a resolution to adopt and appropriate the 2024 budget.
And I would be happy to second, and I have a few comments as well. Also to thank the staff and the team for putting the budget together. Some things that I think are really important about this budget. One is I appreciate calling it the recession-proof budget because we're not 100% sure where 2024 is going to go. And we have held reserve dollars in this budget in case we have an economic downturn. And what that's going to mean is if we do have a recession in 2024 or some type of economic downturn, the probability of having to close something or provide less services to our citizens is much lower today than I think it's been in a long time. I think that's really fantastic. And I think one last thing is, over the last 7 years, somewhat akin to Commissioner Gonzalez's point, we've been recapitalizing our vehicle fleet without raising taxes. That has done an enormous amount about improving the labor productivity of our workforce. And I think those have been good and prudent things that we've done. So I am in support of this budget as well, and there's really good stuff in this budget, in particular reserves in case we have some challenges in the economy in 2024. Thank you.
Commissioner Geithner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to point out a couple of things, some of which have already been said, but I too am very proud of the work that Nikki, your team has done, in particular Brett Waters, and really grateful for the way that this county approaches how we do budgeting here and really focusing in on those core things, which does allow us to continue to keep property taxes and all of the taxes that El Paso County collects low. I wanted to mention a couple of things in that regard as we're passing this today, because I think they are relevant for the public. And one is the Common Sense Institute did a neutral third-party look at the budget of El Paso County over the last 5 and 10 years and their findings on that. And one of the things that I am proud of is that that the growth of El Paso County in terms of looking at our budget is very low, and that means that we're doing a good job of limiting the growth of government. Adjusted for inflation, I believe that was a 4%, considerably less than what was looked at for Colorado Springs. And I also want to point out that CSI did another, again, neutral third-party report that showed considerable differences between El Paso County and Colorado Springs in the public safety space. When we look at crime, how much better we are doing here than, say, Denver. And I think that this is exactly why in that report pointed to several things, one being that our DA prosecutes a lot of cases, which is fantastic, but the DA can't prosecute those cases without the support, the funding support that is provided through this budget. And so I think that that is incredibly important to point out that we are continuing to take care of those things. We know that it's working because we've got that independent report telling us that it's working, and I'm very glad to see us do that. I am saddened that that is not happening in Colorado Springs. And I do want to point out the difference today in the budget that we are passing, where we are looking at more support for public safety, whereas the city cut that. I am very concerned about the implications and how that's going to affect our entire community, but we are going to continue to prioritize that here at the county, and I am proud of that.
Well said, Commissioner. Commissioner Williams.
Yes, first I want to thank our staff, Brett Waters and Nikki Simmons, for this budget. Also, I really appreciate our department heads, and I know many of them do listen. Part of running a fiscally conservative county is having the department heads who are willing to be accountable for every dollar, for every person who comes to work, for efficiency, and for giving out salaries where they're deserved and withholding them when they're not. And so our employees, I think, are the finest in government within our area. I'd probably go all the way up to Denver for that, because I know that they come to work every day and they really do dedicate their efforts and their time to El Paso County. And so I want to thank our employees as well, because of the efficiency they have. And I just love the picture of the dollar. I want to point out again, yes, you do write your check to El Paso County for your taxes, your property taxes. Mine was went up this year, just like everyone else's did. But while it's written to El Paso County, 46% of that goes to school districts, and a whole bunch goes to metro districts, and a bunch goes to the library. And of course, my biggest complaint is I just wrote out a big check to pay my taxes, and my roads are not paved, and only 0.15% goes to, or 15%. I'm not going to do percentages in public, but you can see on the amount of the taxes that you spend that actually go directly into roads. And our Public Works Department does a fantastic job with that little amount. And we are making a lot of progress. And just as I get areas in my district addressed, such as Glen Eagle, and there are areas in Commissioner Geithner's district this year we're going to definitely address, hopefully an area in Commissioner Gonzalez's district, which is in really bad shape. We have to share the money amongst all of us. So while I would love to see every road repaved in my district, I cannot always do that. But thank you for this budget. I really appreciate it.
All right, I will wrap this up with my comments. I greatly appreciated not only the final product we have here, but the months of work and diligence in making sure that that this was a budget that does align with the values and priorities of this board. And almost as soon as we're done with this, especially this year, because it's almost a month later, we will begin the next year's cycle. And that takes pulling together the countywide elected officials on their individual budgets. It takes pulling together the department heads. And I think our administration and our budget office have done just an amazing job of incorporating that and really challenging. Sometimes if we could all make a wish list, right, everything would be on it, but really challenging, okay, where does that fall within the priorities that have been laid out strategically by this board? So I appreciate that this final document is very reflective of that, as my colleagues have said, but also the process by which we get to this. I think it continues to show that we do more with less here in El Paso County. And I think Commissioner Vanderwerf hit on the fact that I feel like this is a fairly recession-proof budget. And that is because we continue to look down the road quite a bit. And Ms. Simmons enjoys saying that she doesn't have a crystal ball, but she's very, very good at predicting and using the knowledge of the past to make sure that we can be fairly secure and making sure that we can continue plowing the roads and investing in transportation infrastructure, regardless of what the economy is doing, that we can still take care of our citizens. And oftentimes that is when our citizens need those services that they expect from their government the most. So I believe that there was a motion and a second already on this. So are there any further comments? Okay. Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Aye.
Commissioner Geithner.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Item number 16 passes 5-0. Item 17.
Item number 17 is the resolution establishing and approving certification of El Paso County's mill levy for the 2023 property taxes payable in 2024 and allocate revenues from such property taxes, the specific ownership tax, and the sales and use tax among the county's various funds. Nikki Simmons, Chief Financial Officer.
Commissioners, this resolution is to certify our 2023 mill levy for taxes payable in 2024. Obviously, there's been much discussion. And at first, I want to say I did get a crystal ball for Christmas. I'm super excited about it. My staff gave that to me, so it's hopefully working. But this resolution is to certify this mill levy. And we use the assessor certifications evaluation, which are given to us usually around Thanksgiving of each year. And this is why this process has been delayed this year, because these didn't come until about Christmas week this year. And so we are asking the board to certify a mill levy for a total of 7.192 mills, which is significantly lower than our overall authorized mill levy of 8.46 mills. This mill levy, it's about a 16.7% reduction from our authorized mill levy due to our Tabor cap. So El Paso County is a Tabor limited community, as we are all aware, and we have to follow a Tabor calculation not only in our overall revenues, but also in just our property tax calculation. So based on that calculation, we are issuing a reduction of 1.417 mills. And that reduction was something we were already planning on doing when we had came forward in October to present the preliminary balanced budget. In conjunction with other reductions, it's about a 20% overall reduction in our property taxes that we could have collected had we issued our full mill levy. And so we are asking for that net mill levy of 7.192 mills to be assessed. And then we are asking for 100% of the county's specific ownership tax, which we estimate at just about $8 million to be deposited into the Road and Bridge Fund. And then we're asking for the sales taxes to be allocated based on the budget document to each of the funds which needs revenues to operate.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Okay. Any members of the public wishing to speak on this item? Hearing none and none online. Okay. Comments? Motion? Commissioner Geithner.
Okay, I'm gonna try that again. Madam Chair, I'm happy to make the motion to approve this item. I would love to make just a quick comment. I want to thank Nikki Simmons for her great explanation of this. There's been so much talk of this. We had a press conference about this. We've been talking a whole lot so that citizens were aware of what was happening. And, you know, as the state legislature made some efforts, and there was all that talk about Prop HH and our concern over this. There's one thing that I want voters to know and citizens to know, and that is that Tabor is the hero today. I'm happy for us to pass this, but I would never want to lose sight of the fact that when the entire state was scrambling and trying to figure out what we were going to do about these increases. And I will leave it there why we are dealing with those increases and won't jump into some of the policy decisions that led us there. But regardless, there was always a plan in El Paso County for the El Paso specific taxes, and that's because Tabor always does its job of limiting government growth in this situation. So thank you for explaining that very well, that though the formulation somewhat changed, the overall impact and the final bottom line here was always going to be the same because of the fact that El Paso County still does abide by Tabor. So with that, I have made my motion.
I'm happy to make a second and also make some comments. Thank you, Madam Chair. So, again, without getting too much into this, because we've had a lot of conversations about this, I'll just simply make the point that this is again interrelated with several policy failures at the state level. The Proposition HH was just flat out wrong. Had multiple statutory requirements in it. That I thought violated the single subject clause of state law. Nonetheless, it went forward, and then the voters turned it down. And it was really, really complicated. And then we went into special session, and we had a bunch of legislators that were trying to revive as much of HH as they could, and they didn't get everything that they were chasing. And then after all of that, our governor asked for local government help to deal with this. Well, if the governor would actually just listen to local government to begin with, he might have realized that a lot of local governments, a lot of school boards, a lot of other organizations were intending on dealing with this based on what came out of the state legislature initiatives. So this was something I said in our press conference. I am asking the governor to listen to local government. If he'd have done that, we might not have even had to have had Proposition HH or go through all of that agony. And the problem is the voters voted and the voters gave a voice, and the legislature is going to keep trying. So I wish they would just listen. That would really help in a lot of ways. But here we are, El Paso County, always the plan, managing against our Tabor limit. Unfortunately, a lot of other public agencies have detabered, like a lot of them, like most of them, but we never have. And to match our Tabor, we are doing this, effectively a 20% reduction in mill levy unilaterally of our own accord because it's the right thing to do. So I support this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Williams.
Yes, I support this proposal. I would expect if the 10-county budget still collects all of the information, we will again be in the lead amongst the 10 metro counties. I know that a few years ago, one county got quite upset at us because we would always win on the mill levy issue. I do want to point out a county to the north of us, Douglas, governed by conservatives, spent a lot of time proudly presenting their budget, which is 14 mills, and arguing over their sales tax revenue when they had to reduce it, I think, by a mere 2% or something to that effect about 2 or 3 years ago. So we do a fabulous job with what the voters have requested. And again, I put a lot of that credit on our employees and our staff. Thank you.
Commissioner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So as mentioned, especially by Commissioner Geithner about, Tabor being the hero here and El Paso County and the city as well, reducing our mill levies in response to Tabor. This was always in the plan. This is something we've done previously in the past. So appreciate all the work that's been done on this. As I've highlighted for months and months, if the individual's property taxes were to see a significant spike, it would be because of the school district portion of this. And so the county can only do what we can do for the county. The city can only do what they can do. And as you see the numbers here, it's much smaller. And so as I've mentioned throughout the last several months, it's the school districts that residents would really need to go to and see how their mill levies should go down or not go down. I've seen where some of our local entities have reduced their mill levies. I believe I read in a press release, not a press release, but in the news just this morning that District 11 had reduced theirs by a couple of points. I believe District 12 did not reduce it. And so, as I've been saying out for months, talk to the school boards. If they were unwilling to do this, they're taking all the money that these increases have occurred. And I hope the school districts do the right thing in helping our residents. We've done the right thing. We reduced the mill levy. Again, Tabor was the hero on that. But pay attention which school district leaders helped the residents and which ones are not. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments? I believe we do have a motion and a second. Correct? All right. Commissioner Williams. Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Aye.
Commissioner Geithner.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Item 17 passes 5-0. Item 18.
Item number 18 is a resolution to authorize the county treasurer to make transfers and as anticipated in the 2024 budget adoption. Nikki Simmons, Chief Financial Officer.
Commissioners, this resolution is purely an administrative item to allow the treasurer's office to make the transfers as needed to make the budget happen throughout the year. And so every year we pass a resolution authorizing that office to do that throughout the year up to the amounts in the budget. So that's the resolution in front of you for approval.
I move approval of the resolution to authorize the county treasurer to make transfers as anticipated in the 2024 budget adoption.
Second.
That has been moved and seconded. Before I move on, are there any members of the public wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none in the room and none online. Okay. Any further comments? Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Aye.
Commissioner Geithner.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Item number 18 passes 5-0. Item number 19.
Item number 19 is department and committee reports, non-action items, and there are none.
Item 20.
Item number 20 is the addendum, and there are no addendums today.
Item 21.
Item number 21 is executive session, and there is no request for executive session.
This regular meeting of the Board of County Commissioners is adjourned. We do, however, now have several public improvement district meetings. I will give our clerk a few moments to turn over her system, and we'll be ready to go. We'll take a quick break.
was like, there's a lot of public here, and I was like, oh, that is, yeah, actually, she did distract me.
Good morning and welcome back to the Tuesday, January 9th Board of County Commissioners meeting. This is actually Public Improvement District number 1 meeting. Officially called to order. Item number 1.
Item number 1 is request to approve the Public Improvement District PID number 1, October 3rd, 2023 minutes. Jackie Allred, clerk to the board.
Move approval of item number 1.
Second.
That has been moved and seconded. Any members of the public wishing to speak on this item? Hearing none online. Any further comments up here? Okay, I'll call the roll. Commissioner Williams?
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderwerf?
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
Aye.
Commissioner Geithner?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Item number 1 passes 5-0. Item number 2.
Item number 2 is the resolution to adopt and appropriate the 2024 budget for the Public Improvement District number 1. Nikki Simmons, Chief Financial Officer.
Good morning, Commissioners. Nikki Simmons, Chief Financial Officer. Your PID number 1 is the traffic impact fee PID, where all fees are paid directly into the PID if they're paying fees up front in lieu of property taxes, as well as receives the transfers from PIDs 2 and 3, which levy taxes. So for overall revenues for 2024, we are asking for a total revenue budget of $3.9 million, which is about $1.9 million of revenues which will be transferred from the other PIDs, plus $1.5 million in direct fees and a $500,000 estimate for interest income. And so total revenue of $3.99 million, and we are asking to reserve $1.5 million of that for possible payment to other entities as credits are developed, and $11.2 million of capital projects.
Any questions on this item? Any members of the public wishing to speak on this item? None in the room and none online.
And I believe the 11.2 also includes does that include the expenditure for Rex Road? Is that the?
Rex Road is the primary portion of what's going on with this fund right now.
Awesome. So I will happily make the motion. Everyone is looking at me expectantly here, so I will happily make the motion to approve this item. And yes, I am very excited about the improvements at Rex and Meridian.
Second.
That has been moved and seconded. Any further comments? Okay, Commissioner Williams?
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderwerf?
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
Aye.
Commissioner Geithner?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That passes 5-0. PID number 1 is adjourned.
Now that was use of a gavel. Excellent.
I will call to order Public Improvement District number 2 on Tuesday, January 9th. Item number 1.
Item number 1 is a request to approve the Public Improvement District number 2, December 5th, 2023 minutes. Jackie Allred, clerk to the board.
I move approval of item 1.
Second.
That has been moved and seconded. Any members of the public wishing to speak on item number 1? Hearing none. Any further comments? Commissioner Williams?
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderwerf?
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
Aye.
Commissioner Geithner?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Item number 1 passes 5-0. Item number 2.
Item number 2 is the resolution to adopt and appropriate the 2024 budget for the Public Improvement District number 2. Nikki Simmons, Chief Financial Officer.
Commissioners, this is PID number 2, which is the 10 mil property tax levy PID that was set up to allow for traffic improvements to happen. So this is the PID that developers choose to go into if they would like to pay a primary portion of those fees through a property tax assessed to the properties. And so this PID for 2024, we're anticipating $2.066 million in property taxes, total revenues of $2.291 million when you add in interest and specific ownership tax. At this time, we're asking for $1.8 million of that to be transferred to PID 1, which is already in the approved budget for PID 1.
I move approval of item number 2.
Second.
Are there any members of the public wishing to speak on this item? None online, none in the room. Any further questions? Commissioner Williams?
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderwerf?
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez,
Aye.
Commissioner Geithner,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Item number 2 passes 5-0. Item number 3.
Item number 3 is the resolution establishing and approving certification of the mill levy for Public Improvement District Number 2. Nikki Simmons, Chief Financial Officer.
Commissioners, this is, as I mentioned during the budget adoption, the 10 mil PID that was set up to be a 10 mil PID. So we're asking that we reauthorize that 10 mil as approved by the voters in this district.
I move approval of the 10 mil the levy as stated in the resolution.
Second.
That has been moved and seconded. Anyone wishing to speak on this item in the public? None online, none in the room. Any further questions here? Commissioner Williams?
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderwerf?
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
Aye.
Commissioner Geithner?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Item number 3 passes 5-0. Item number 4.
Item number 4 is the resolution to authorize the county treasurer to make transfers as anticipated in the 2024 budget for the Public Improvement District Number 2. Nikki Simmons, Chief Financial Officer.
Commissioners, this resolution is to simply authorize the treasurer to make this $1.8 million transfer between PID 2 and PID 1.
I move approval of item number 4.
Second.
That has been moved and seconded. Once again, anyone wishing to speak on this item? Hearing none. Any further questions? Commissioner Williams?
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderwerf?
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
Aye.
Commissioner Geithner?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That passes 5-0, and PID number 2 meeting is adjourned. I will call to order Public Improvement District Number 3. Item number 1.
Item number 1 is request to approve the Public Improvement District Number 3, October 3rd, 2023 minutes. Jackie Allred, Clerk to the Board.
I move approval of item number 1.
Second.
That has been moved and seconded. Any members of the public wishing to speak on this item? None online, none in the room. I will call the roll. Commissioner Williams?
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderwerf?
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
Aye.
Commissioner Geithner?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Item number 1 passes 5-0. Item number 2.
Item number 2 is the resolution to adopt and appropriate the 2024 budget for Public Improvement District Number 3. Nikki Simmons, Chief Financial Officer.
Commissioners, PID number 3 is the 5 mil property tax district, where the one development that has gone into here has chosen this one to kind of pay half the fees up front, and the other half is through a little bit lower mill levy for 20 years. And so for the properties within this district, we estimate taxes to be $170,238 for 2024. And then when you add in a specific ownership tax and interest, total revenues of $189,000. And for operating expenditures, we are asking for the associated tax collection expense as well as a $190,000 transfer to PID number 1.
Are there any members of the public wishing to speak on this proposed budget? Hearing none.
I move approval of item number 2.
I'll second.
That has been moved and seconded. Any further questions? Commissioner Williams?
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderwerf?
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
Aye.
Commissioner Geithner? And the chair votes aye. Item number 2 passes 5-0. Item number 3.
Item number 3 is the resolution establishing and approving certification of mill levy for Public Improvement District Number 3. Nikki Simmons, Chief Financial Officer.
Commissioners, as mentioned during the budget adoption, this mill levy and this PID is 5 mills as approved by the voters when we established the district. And so we're asking for that to be applied to 2023 property taxes payable in 24.
Are there any questions or comments from the public on this item? Okay, up here.
I move approval of item number 3.
Second.
That has been moved and seconded. Commissioner Williams?
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderwerf?
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
Aye.
Commissioner Geithner?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Item number 3 passes 5-0. Item number 4.
Item number 4 is the resolution to authorize the county treasurer to make transfers as anticipated in the 2024 budget for Public Improvement District Number 3. Nikki Simmons, Chief Financial Officer.
This item is to ask for authorization for the treasurer's office to make this $190,000 transfer from PID 3 to PID 1.
Are there any members of the public wishing to speak on item number 4? Hearing none.
I move approval of item number 4.
Second?
That has been moved and seconded. I'll call the roll. Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Aye.
Commissioner Geithner.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That passes, item number 4 passes 5-0, and we are adjourned. At this time, the Pioneer Village Roads Public Improvement District meeting. Item number 1.
Item number 1 is a request to approve the Pioneer Village Roads Public Improvement District October 3rd, 2023 minutes. Jackie Allred, clerk to the board.
Is there anyone wishing to speak on item number 1? Hearing none.
Move to approve item 1.
Second?
That has been moved and seconded. Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Aye.
Commissioner Geithner.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Item number 1 passes 5-0. Item number 2.
Item number 2 is the resolution to adopt and appropriate the 2024 budget for Pioneer Village Roads Public Improvement District. Nikki Simmons, Chief Financial Officer.
Commissioners, this district was established by the voters within this subdivision to improve their roads, their private roads. And so there's a 21 mil PID or 21 mil levy that is placed on the properties within this district that is used simply to improve the roads. We are asking for approval of this budget, which includes property taxes of $58,861, and then associated specific ownership tax and interest for a total of $66,000 in revenues. And then we are asking for $65,000 of that to go to contractual obligations, which is always used for road maintenance and improvements.
Move to approve item 2.
Second?
That has been moved and seconded. Anyone in the public wishing to speak on this item? None online and none in the room. Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Aye.
Commissioner Geithner.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Item number 2 passes 5-0. Item number 3.
Item number 3 is the resolution establishing and approving certification of mill levy for the Pioneer Village Roads Public Improvement District. Nikki Simmons, Chief Financial Officer.
Commissioners, as mentioned previously, this is a 21 mil PID that we're asking for to be applied to 2023 property taxes payable in 2024 as authorized when we formed this district.
Are there any members of the public wishing to speak on this item? Hearing none.
Move to approve item 3.
Second?
That has been moved and seconded. Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Aye.
Commissioner Geithner.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Item number 3 passes 5-0, and we are adjourned. I'm calling to order the Stratmore Valley Streetlights Public Improvement District meeting. Item number 1.
Item number 1 is the request to approve the Stratmore Valley Streetlights Public Improvement District October 3rd, 2023 minutes. Jackie Allred, clerk to the board.
Are there any members of the public wishing to speak on item number 1? Hearing none.
I move approval of item number 1.
Second?
That has been moved and seconded. Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Aye.
Commissioner Geithner.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Item number 1 passes 5-0. Item number 2.
Item number 2 is the resolution to adopt and appropriate the 2024 budget for Stratmore Valley Streetlights Public Improvement District. Nikki Simmons, Chief Financial Officer.
Commissioners, this district was formed by the voters in this district to put streetlights within their district. It authorized a 3.3 mil levy, but for 2024, with new legislation, we're actually able to do a temporary mill levy reduction within this district, and so we're asking for a 1.65 mil levy, so we're basically 50% of the overall authorized number, as we have a significant fund balance in this PID, and so we can spend even into that. This actually covers current year's expenses, plus any unanticipated repair or maintenance of streetlights if anything were to happen to them within that district. So to give a minor bit of temporary property tax relief, the property taxes within this district at $24,237 is a 1.65 mil assessment. So total revenues of $33,000 on expenditures right now, which is just utilities, and the tax collection expense of $12,388, leaving a fund balance of about $227,000 in case there are maintenance issues within that district.
Are there any members of the public wishing to speak on this budget proposal? Hearing none. Questions or comments from up here?
Thank you. I just congratulate you on the staff on taking a conscious effort on, again, looking at do we have the right mill levies for these? Thank you.
And I think that is really neat that they get a mill levy reduction. I will move approval of item number 2.
Second?
That has been moved and seconded. I just have one quick question that's not directly related to this item, but given the redistricting, where does the bulk of this public improvement district reside?
Commissioner, I would not be able to answer your question. I don't know the answer to that.
I think
This
they
used to be mine. I think I
Right.
still have most of it.
still have most of it, but part of it perhaps in 3. Okay, thank you. Okay, that has been moved and seconded. Commissioner Williams?
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderwerf?
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
Aye.
And Commissioner Gardner?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Item number 2 passes 5-0. Item number 3.
Item number 3 is the resolution establishing and approving certification mill levy for Stratmore Valley Streetlights Public Improvement District. Nikki Simmons, Chief Financial Officer.
Commissioners, as I just mentioned, this mill levy for this PID is authorized at 3.3 mils. We're asking for a net mill levy of 1.65 mils to be certified this year, which includes a 1.65 mil temporary reduction.
Move to approve item 3.
Second.
It's all good.
That is.
I will throw my second.
Okay, I'll second. Thank you.
All right. Commissioner Williams?
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderwerf?
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
Aye.
Commissioner Geithner?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Item number 3 passes 5-0, and we are adjourned.
I can go now?
No, I've got 2 questions.